Yo, what's going on guys? This is the build that I'll be running for today's video. And in this video I 1v1 pretty much every single dino in the game as a Pachy. And to keep the score consistent, and I just have my friend 1v1 me on all the dinos. That way it's not just random players, and it's a player that actually has some idea of how to actually play the game, as judging it off of randoms would be very inconsistent. Now to start off, I will be 1v1ing Alio, and I'll also be giving out tips during the 1v1s just to help newer players or players that may need some advice. Now the main point is I don't want to face tank the Alio, I want to get behind him and just avoid a face fight, as the Alio outweighs me and does more damage, so it's just not a good fight. Also, you see me dodge a lot. The reason that is because the dodge counts as a jump, so that gives you that extra 25% increased damage, which is very useful. Now you do have to watch out for not to overdo it, because a lot of the times you will just completely miss. Like the jump will usually just go a little bit over, the dodge, sorry, it will go a little bit over from where you're looking, and you just won't be able to get a hit and you'll miss out on a couple free hits. So you just have to time it right and position yourself well enough to, for example, not get stuck on the Alio. Now you'll see me occasionally jump while my friend is behind me. That's basically a break check technique that I use. It also just gives me that 25% increased damage, but the good thing about it is it stops you in place, and a lot of people end up just going right past you and you get a free hit on them, which is just very nice. Now in the very start of this fight, I actually got stuck on my friend, which I think is honestly what made me lose the fight, which not lose the fight but made it so close and just miss out on a lot of damage. And you can see we trade, so there was a few whiffs there as well. We were warming up, but either way, yeah. Now I also won't be 1v1 in every single dino. For example, there's no need for me to 1v1 Ano, there's just no point. Also, when it gets to like heavier things like the Rex and stuff, technically you could beat them in a 1v1, but it would just take a lot of you tail riding. That's how you beat a Rex or other apexes. Or for example, I'm not going to fight a Barsbodia as it's going to be impossible. So yeah. Also, I have a different friend for this video than I did for the first one, as my other friend couldn't get on, so I just had to get my other friend Linkser to help me out for this video. So yeah, either way, moving on to the second matchup is the Pycno, which I actually think when people run the right Pycno build, it's very hard. The Pycno is definitely one of the best dinosaurs in the game right now, which makes it really hard to 1v1, especially as a Pachy. So my main thing is try and get behind him, but he does have Duke and he has that headbutt to knock me away, which makes it very difficult even when I do get behind him. The great hit reg of that headbutt just takes me out of place and sets him up perfectly. As you can see, I was on the side and he just gets me right back to where I want to be. But so, and I actually mess up here. I actually played it very badly, and so I take a different approach the second time. The second time I try to bait out his hits instead. Obviously I get that charge hit off, as it gives me a good amount of damage. Now what you want to do is bait out those hits like that and then get behind, as it helps you a lot more. And you also want to be ready for that Duke. But it's same thing again, you just want to tail ride the Pycno and avoid those headbutts by baiting them out. I could have done a better job, but it's honestly very difficult against a decent player that has the right build on the Pycno. So yeah. Now so right there I tried to charge and dodge right into him, which would give me a high amount of damage, but I just missed. It can be difficult sometimes to hit that dodge perfectly. But yeah, I would honestly say that the Pycno is one of the harder fights for sure when it comes to 1v1ing as a Pachy, with the right build obviously. But I do get my friend really low to like, I think he was like 20% HP, but either way I just couldn't get it on him. Now moving on, Pachy versus Achillo. This is also a really good one, as they're both 2 slots and they have a pretty similar style and things that they can do. They're the same speed at 1050 and they can both jump really high. But the Achillo's just a stronger version of the Pachy, honestly. It has a different skill set, but they're very similar. Now, once again, for pretty much the whole entire video, you're never going to see me face tank anything, as there's just nothing small enough, besides like Captor, Stroophy, and the 2 Raptors, which I actually don't do, is those are pretty easy fights, and I don't see a point in doing those. For the important thing about this series is challenging on what you can fight and what you can't. But yeah, so I did get the first round. Now moving on to the second round. Once again, I want to charge this guy and hit that dodge on him, and actually did, so that gave me a good amount of damage. But the thing is, if you get stuck on anything really and you take too much damage, it makes the fight so much harder, and I just keep getting stuck and it's just very unfortunate. But yeah, if you can just avoid getting stuck, use that jump to try and get behind people and get that 25%. But yeah, also the Achillo's just like, honestly in my opinion, just a better version of the Pachy. You obviously don't, the Achillo doesn't have knockback, but it has bleed. But yeah, now moving on to this other matchup, we did Allo versus Pachy. Now the thing about Allo, it's very sporadic and its movement is just really weird, honestly. I just struggle with the movement of the Allo, so a lot of times when I'm expecting someone to stop running, I'll end up running right into them, and it just, yeah, just need to get used to that. But same again, it's just the same exact thing. Get behind them, tail ride them. It can be very difficult when somebody knows what they're doing and moves a lot. It can just be hard to tail ride them. I would say the worst thing you can do is a bigger thing, is just sit there and precise turn consistently just one way, whereas you should really be trying to go left and then right and just switch it up. But yeah, I'm just trying to find the blind spot in the Allo where even when he does tail hit me away, I can still hit him and not get bit. But honestly, the hit reg on the bite on the Allo is pretty good, not gonna lie. But yeah, so honestly, you're probably never gonna kill a good Allo player. It's definitely a lot easier than fighting the Pycno though. I would say so far the Pycno's been the hardest matchup out of anything I've fought in the video. But yeah, and as you can see, my friend gets me and I just wasn't able to get the kill on him. Now we go for round 2 to try and see if I can do any better this time, do anything different, maybe a little bit better on the tail riding aspect of things. But yeah, now once again you see, because of the speed on the Pachy, you know, it's fast, so you just have to be very careful on where you go, because sometimes you go way over and you'll just end up running yourself right into the mouth of the Allo. So yeah, but once again, just stay on the tail, on the backside, and don't get hit. But yeah, there's nothing really crazy about this. Honestly, I could have did more of the jumping here, where I just jump up and headbutt him. Honestly, that would have been pretty good, I think. But I got my friend down to like half HP, I think it was. It wasn't anything crazy. Maybe a little bit lower, but yeah, still he just killed me through using the tail hit. Now moving on to another matchup is against the Cerato. Now the Cerato is pretty good because it's very tanky and it has juke, so it doesn't have the greatest turn radius, but it has juke, which just makes it so much harder to fight. But sometimes you can use juke against people, because if you can fake them out to use that juke, and they've just juked the absolute wrong way, and then you can get a couple hits on the tail. But yeah, also when fighting the Cerato, you want to take away its scoots and do not let him get out of combat, because if you let him get out of that combat zone, you're gonna let him regenerate those scoots that he was missing before. So yeah, you just consistently want to stay in the fight against the Cerato. As you can see, jumping around, dodging around, just getting all the hits I can on the Cerato. But yeah, this is another one where it's a hard matchup, winnable, but realistically Cerato should be winning it. Now, Conk versus Pachy. My friend was using a few different builds, and this one he is using just the bite and the claw. Now, once again, I don't want to face tank this guy because it's going to be very difficult to win. Obviously I face tank him here, but that's already because I've already put him low enough. So once I know that something is low enough to where I can face tank him, okay, then I will face tank him. But main thing is I kind of want to get them low enough to where I can face tank them before I actually do it. So yeah, same thing, just, you know, get into this turning battle. And the thing about the Pachy is it's got a great turn radius. Like, it's one of the best for sure. Its speed isn't the best. It's good, but it's not the best of the two slots. It's 1050 compared to the Conk's 1100. It's also the Pachy's quite squishy, whereas the Conk does a lot of damage. So if you really get hit by something, it's gonna do a lot of damage. But I managed to just stay out the way of the attacks. And you can always see I open up the fights with that charge slash dodge combo, because that gives an insane amount of damage. If you can open up with that, that's always very good. But it can be difficult to land. I guess I'm just not that great with the mechanic of the dodge and charge. Maybe if I played that a little bit more, I could probably get it down a little bit better than now. But yeah, either way, my friend used a different build here. Now he used the Riptide because it was raining. Honestly, it was worked pretty good for him. But either way, I'm just able to stay on him and behind him, whereas he's struggling to keep me off him. So yeah. Now moving on to the Pachy versus the Meg. This one, you just want to tail ride him once again. It's actually pretty easy also because how low to the ground the Meg is. Even if he gets like behind you, all you have to do is jump over him, because he's literally so short. You just jump over the Meg and he can't really touch you. Also, when he's using that heavy bite, I can jump over the heavy bite, so that works really well as well. It's honestly really nice and really easy. And he's just not able to get behind me, as the Pachy's turn radius is some of the best turn radius in the whole entire game. So yeah, it's just very nice. And anytime he does get behind me, I'll just jump over him, so it's no problem at all actually. But yeah, we do a second round of the Meg versus Pachy. Once again, you just see me jump over him and stay on his tail. It's honestly pretty easy and pretty simple. I feel like this is a matchup that a good Pachy player definitely beats a good Meg player. It's just a bad matchup for the Meg because of how small the Meg is. But yeah, either way, I feel like it just struggles against the Pachy compared to other dinos in this list. I feel like the Conk does really well against the Pachy, and yeah. But either way, this is probably just a worse version of a Conk, and that's what I think of the Meg. It definitely needs a TOC. So yeah. But as you can see, my friend's really struggling to get behind me, and I'm just consistently on him, and there's not really much you can do, because anytime he gets behind me, I'll just jump over the guy. What he could have done better is he probably could have used this precise turn to avoid me getting behind him. But yeah. Now here I fight a Dasp. I've decided to challenge myself here, and he was using a shatter build, which if he lands one of those shatters, it's over. So by all costs, I do not want to get hit by that shatter, as I'll be dead. For anyone that doesn't know what shatter does, it just fractures you and makes you very slow. And it also gives him 10% more damage. And the Dasp already does a pretty good amount of damage, so you just don't want to be getting hit by that. Same thing here, it's just like tail ride this guy I could always do a better job of tail riding. I feel like sometimes I'm going too fast. I feel like I should be stopping a little bit more. Like you can see that I just ran into him. I could have played that a little bit better, but realistically, you're never beating a good DAS player. That's just the truth of it. Obviously, it doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means that you will have to be so much better than the other guy for it to actually work out. So yeah, but I'm just overcommitting on certain things, and I'm just getting ahead of the DAS where I should be playing a little bit slower and staying behind them the whole entire time, if that makes sense. Now, moving on to the Metri. This one is such a hard fight because the Metri is got heal calls and I don't have any bleed to stop that. So even if I do get him low, he can just heal himself to full HP and there's nothing I can do about it. Second of all, the Metri's turn radius and precise turn is so amazing, and yeah, it's just impossible to get behind the Metri. Like, even when you get behind him, he's just able to precise turn right back into you. So yeah. Also, the claw attack, you never want to bite on the Metri, you always want to use the claw. Why? Because it does more damage than the bite. The bite does practically nothing, besides it gives you more range. It used to do something back in the day. It used to give poison out, like venom, like the Meg, through its bite though. So yeah. But this is a pretty hard matchup. Obviously, against a bad Metri player, you can win it, but against someone decent who knows what they're doing, you're going to have a very hard time. But yeah, now moving on to the Styrac. This one's a pretty good fight. I made a big mistake there. My friend actually predicted that I would do that, as I've done it so many times through every single start. So he used the ram right on me. But yeah. Now, main thing, just stay behind this guy. Do not get into a turn battle with the Styrac, because it's got a great turn radius and a very good hitbox. So yeah, I just want to stay behind him. Now, honestly, this is like a very hard matchup because of how good the turn radius on the Styrac is. And my friend honestly could have won this if he didn't charge away. He just panicked, I guess, and made a mistake. But yeah, that was it for the video.